She met him on a rainy evening in Bristol, not in a romantic way, not with music playing in the background, not with flowers or magic. She met him because her umbrella broke outside Cabot's circus, and he quietly stood beside her holding half of his over her head like it was the most normal thing in the world. "Come closer," he said softly. "You're getting soaked." That was the first time Amelia Hart noticed Daniel Cole, and somehow, that small moment changed everything. Daniel wasn't the type of man women usually chased. He was quiet, simple, the kind of man who listened more than he spoke. But Amelia had spent 3 years trying to survive after the death of her mother, and for the first time in a long time, somebody looked at her like she mattered. Not like she was broken, not like she was difficult to love, just human. Every Friday after work, they started meeting at a tiny coffee shop near Clifton Village. He always ordered the same thing: flat white, no sugar. And every single time, before she even sat down, he would already have her favorite hot chocolate waiting. "You remember everything, don't you?" she once laughed. Daniel smiled. "Only the things I'm scared to lose." That sentence stayed in her heart for weeks. Months passed. Then love happened quietly. Not loudly, not dramatically. It happened in little things. Like him walking on the roadside of the pavement whenever they crossed the street. Like him texting her, "Message me when you get home." Like him warming her freezing hands inside his coat pockets during winter nights near the harbor side. For the first time in years, Amelia stopped feeling lonely. And Daniel? He loved her with the kind of love that made her believe God still remembered her. Then one night, everything changed. It was 11:43 p.m. when Amelia got the call. Daniel's younger sister was crying so hard she could barely speak. "Amelia, please come to Southmead Hospital." Her heart dropped instantly. What happened? There was silence. Then the words came. "He collapsed." Amelia didn't even remember how she got there. She drove through red lights. Her hands were shaking so badly she almost crashed twice. When she arrived, Daniel was unconscious. Machines everywhere. Doctors rushing. Blood on his sleeve. And then, a nurse pulled Amelia aside and asked a question that made her entire world stop. "Are you family?" Before Amelia could answer, a woman standing at the end of the hallway suddenly spoke. Cold voice, tear-filled eyes. "She can't make decisions for him." Amelia turned slowly and froze, because standing there was Daniel's wife. Amelia couldn't breathe. The hospital hallway suddenly felt too small, too cold, too silent. Daniel's wife? The word kept echoing in her head like a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. The woman stepped closer slowly. Elegant coat, red eyes from crying, wedding ring still on her finger. "I'm Victoria," she said quietly. "I'm his wife." Amelia felt her legs weaken instantly. "No," she whispered. "No, that's impossible." Because Daniel had never mentioned another woman, never hidden his phone, never disappeared for days, never acted guilty. He loved her. She knew he did. Didn't he? Victoria looked at Amelia carefully. And somehow, the pain in her eyes looked real too. That was the worst part. Because Amelia wanted to hate her, but she couldn't. A doctor suddenly walked out of the ICU. "Family only," he said urgently. Victoria turned immediately. But before she could walk away, Daniel's hand moved weakly inside the room. And his first word was barely a whisper. "Amelia." Victoria froze. The doctor froze. Even Amelia stopped breathing. Because a dying man doesn't call the wrong name. Victoria slowly turned back toward her. And for the first time, Amelia saw it. Not anger, not jealousy, fear. The kind of fear a woman has when she realizes her husband may truly love somebody else. Hours passed in silence. Finally, around 3 a.m., Victoria sat beside Amelia in the empty waiting area. "You think you're the only one he saved?" she asked softly. Amelia looked at her confused. Victoria laughed bitterly through tears. "When I met Daniel, I was drowning in debt, depression, and grief after losing our baby. Her voice cracked completely. He stayed with me when everybody else left. Amelia's heart sank, because suddenly Daniel became even more impossible to hate. Victoria wiped her tears. He's a good man, Amelia. That's the problem. Silence. Then Victoria whispered the sentence that shattered Amelia completely. He tried to leave me last month. Amelia's eyes widened, but after my cancer diagnosis, Victoria looked down at her trembling hands. He stayed. Everything inside Amelia broke instantly, because now she understood the truth. Daniel didn't stay because he was in love. He stayed because he couldn't abandon a dying woman. And somehow, that made Amelia love him even more painfully. At sunrise, the doctor finally returned. Serious face, heavy eyes. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "There's something both of you need to know about Daniel's collapse." Amelia stood immediately. "What is it?" The doctor hesitated. "Ac." The doctor hesitated, then spoke slowly. The blood test results came back. He didn't collapse naturally. Amelia's entire body went cold. He didn't collapse naturally. The doctor's words echoed inside her head while the hospital corridor suddenly felt impossible to stand in. Victoria looked terrified. "What do you mean?" she asked quickly. The doctor lowered his voice. "There were traces of a dangerous substance in Daniel's bloodstream." Amelia frowned instantly. "Poison?" The doctor hesitated. "We can't confirm yet, but somebody may have given him something intentionally." Silence. Heavy. Horrible. Silence. And suddenly, everyone in the room started looking at each other differently. Because love is painful. But suspicion? Suspicion destroys people. Victoria immediately shook her head. No, Daniel doesn't have enemies. But Amelia remembered something. 3 nights ago, Daniel had canceled dinner suddenly. His voice sounded strange on the phone. Tired, distracted, almost afraid. And before hanging up, he had whispered something that made no sense at the time. "If anything happens to me, forgive me." Amelia's heart nearly stopped. Why would he say that? Meanwhile, inside the ICU room, machines kept beeping softly while Daniel remained unconscious, fighting for his life. The man 2 women loved. The man neither of them truly understood anymore. At 5 a.m., Victoria finally stood up. "I need air." She walked away slowly toward the hospital chapel. Amelia stayed behind alone, or so she thought, because seconds later, a nurse approached carefully. "You're Amelia, right?" "Yes." The nurse looked nervous. "Daniel asked me to give you something earlier yesterday, before he collapsed." Amelia's hands started shaking immediately. "What is it?" The nurse pulled out a small brown envelope, sealed, with Amelia's name written across it in Daniel's handwriting. Her chest tightened instantly. "What's inside?" "I don't know," the nurse whispered. "But he said..." She paused. "If anything happened to him, only you should read it." Amelia could barely breathe as she opened the envelope. Inside was a letter and a photograph. The moment she saw the picture, her knees almost gave out, because the woman standing beside Daniel in the photo was not Victoria, and not Amelia. It was somebody else, a pregnant woman, holding Daniel's hand, smiling. On the back of the photograph were 5 words written in black ink. "She never told me." Amelia's vision blurred completely, because suddenly the story became darker than betrayal, darker than lies. And then her phone vibrated. "Unknown number," she answered weakly. A woman's voice whispered, "Daniel was trying to protect you." Amelia froze. "Who is this?" The voice started crying softly, "Please," before they realize he's still alive. "You need to leave the hospital now." Amelia's heart started pounding violently. "Leave the hospital now." The woman on the phone was crying so hard she could barely breathe. "They know Daniel told you the truth." The line suddenly went dead. Amelia stood frozen beside the hospital corridor wall, gripping the phone tightly while fear crawled through her entire body. What truth? Who was they? Pregnant woman's face? Footsteps neared fast. She quickly shoved the photograph and letter back into the envelope. A hospital security guard appeared around the corner. "Miss Hart?" Her blood ran cold instantly. "How do you know my name?" "Someone requested for you downstairs." "Who?" But the guard hesitated strangely. That's the problem. They refused to identify themselves. Every instinct inside Amelia screamed, "Run!" But before she could move, Victoria suddenly appeared behind them, face pale, eyes terrified. "Amelia," she whispered urgently. Daniel woke up. Everything stopped. The machines, the noise, the fear. Daniel was awake. Amelia ran toward the ICU so fast she almost slipped. When she entered the room, Daniel looked weak, barely conscious, oxygen tube against his face. But the moment he saw Amelia, tears filled his eyes. Not fear, regret. The kind of regret that destroys a person slowly from the inside. Victoria stayed near the door silently while Amelia moved closer to the bed. "Daniel." Her voice broke instantly. "What is happening?" Daniel tried to speak, but his breathing became uneven. "Listen to me carefully." His hand trembled as he grabbed hers. "They know about you." Amelia frowned. "Who knows?" Daniel looked toward the door nervously, as if he expected somebody to walk in. Then he whispered the sentence that shattered Amelia completely. "The baby." His eyes filled with tears. "Was yours." Amelia stopped breathing. "What?" Victoria looked confused. Daniel closed his eyes painfully. "She was your sister." The room went silent, completely silent. Amelia felt like the floor disappeared beneath her, because 12 years ago, her older sister Leah disappeared from London without explanation. No goodbye, no body, nothing. Their mother died, believing Leah abandoned the family. Amelia's hands started shaking violently. "No," she whispered. "No, you're lying." Daniel started crying openly now. "I met Leah years ago in Manchester." His voice cracked. She was pregnant, terrified, hiding from dangerous people. Amelia's vision blurred. "She made me promise never to tell anyone she was alive." Victoria looked completely lost. "What dangerous people?" Daniel looked directly at Amelia. "Your father owed money to people he trusted." Amelia froze instantly, because her father had died suddenly when she was 16. Everybody said it was a heart attack, but Daniel's next words changed everything. He wasn't killed by illness. The monitor beside the bed suddenly started beeping rapidly. Daniel grabbed Amelia's wrist weakly. "They killed your father." Tears streamed down his face. "And now they know, I told you." Suddenly, the hospital lights went out. Darkness swallowed the room instantly. Victoria screamed. Machines started failing, and in the darkness, someone opened the ICU door. Watch for the final part. Thanks for watching.